Is there a question you're exploring as you move through life?
The question for me, I think, is how can we make life kind of more fun, more enjoyable? Not belittling the fact that we have to do lots of things we might not want to do, but within all of the constraints that exist, how can this thing that we're doing and every part of it be more enjoyable, lighter, more fun? Fun, I can't quite find the word. Fun feels a bit trivial. I think I mean it in a slightly more profound way than that. How can it be more joyful, more fitting? It feels to me that life kind of always wants to happen. That seems to me to be the story of this planet, really, that from what we know, most planets, there isn't this thing called life. And here somehow it just wants to happen. And I think about that every time I look at a plant or even a tree just growing in the most ridiculous place. You kind of go, yeah, that crack in that rock is really not, but it kind of just wants to happen. And I think the human and personal version of that for me is the kind of the joy and inventiveness and playfulness of life. It's like, what can we do here? What can we do with this? So I think that my life has been driven by the pursuit of that and continues to be, and the avoidance of what you might call the deathly or the drudge. A friend of mine once described what management consultants do as high concept drudgery, which I thought was brilliant. And Peter Brook, in his fabulous book, The Empty Space, which I go back to time and again, he conjures up this idea of what he calls deathly theatre. And he's at pains to point out that that's can happen in the most illustrious and well-funded theatres as well. So the Royal Shakespeare Company could be falling into the trap of doing deathly theatre, because what he means by deathly is this thing that it lacks this quality that I'm in pursuit of, this kind of aliveness, this curiosity, sense of exploration and possibility, which isn't always kind of simply fun in the sense of kind of being, fun and games, but is delightful is the word I always come back to. So I think that's been the thing that shapes me and drives me. And it's as much a moving away as a moving towards, So if you're listening carefully, you can see I can't really articulate what it is I'm moving towards, so I've got a sense of it. But I know very well what I'm trying to avoid. And I'm very apt to give things up very quickly if they have that kind of touch of deathliness, as Brooke might say.
How do you, just out of interest, are your antennae quite closely attuned to that sense of deathliness? Like, what might be some of the characteristics or your senses of that?
I think that I've developed a sensitivity to it. I think now it's very visceral, so it's something I can just kind of feel bodily, and then the kind of the words and the intellect and stuff will catch up. I think that's probably always been the case, but I think at the time, so if I go back to when I was 20 or 25, I think I thought and reasoned my way to these kinds of decisions. So I think that when I left advertising, for example, I think I thought I'd kind of worked out that this wasn't working for me any longer. But when I look back, I realized that that rationalization was, as indeed I think all rationalizations are, a post-rationalization. I was making sense of something that I was feeling in my body much more strongly. And so now when people ask me, why did you leave advertising? Not that they do very often, but, I will say because of a feeling I had in my gut getting into a taxi. So that's the tell of the deathliness. It's normally, I would describe it as a sinking feeling, as a kind of slightly despairing, why do I have to be doing this now? And every atom of my body, almost entirely from the neck down, actually, the mind is sort of flapping around, but the rest of my body is going, no, get me out of here. I don't like this. I don't want to be here.